Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu einer neuen Episode von The Stanley Parable. Freunde, wir halten jetzt mal einen ganz kurzen Moment inne. Und wir fragen uns, was ist das eigentlich, was wir hier machen? Ist das genial, dieses Spiel? Hat es genau diesen Twist irgendwie, den man halt sucht in dieser ganzen Welt voller plakativer und massengefertigter Videospiele? Hat das jemand gemacht, um uns einfach nur verrückt zu machen? Ich meine, allein die Zeit, die wir hier warten in diesem Spiel und gerade im Moment auch nicht viel tun können, außer halt dem Sprecher zuzuhören. Das hat ja mindestens genauso lange gedauert, es zu entwickeln. Wir haben ja einige Dialoge sogar nicht ganz zu Ende gehört, was ja eigentlich schon fast frech ist. Ja, aber hält man das aus? Oder haben sie den Knopf dafür reingemacht, um... Es ist verrückt, Cookie 9 hat das Spiel kaputt gemacht. So, ich drücke jetzt. Wir machen weiter. Ist er weg? Hallo? Existiert da draußen überhaupt noch eine Welt jetzt? Ich weiß ja auch nicht, hier drin ist ja nichts außer diese Uhr. Und auf der Uhr sieht man zwar die Stunden, aber man sieht nicht die Tage. Und die Blume ist vergoren und... Ich drück nochmal. Der Feuermelder. Alarm. Die Uhr ist runter... Oh Gott. Hör auf zu piepen. Und, ach, die Batterien sind vielleicht leer.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us.
Okay, jetzt dreht er durch.
They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves.
Oh Mann.
I am a waypoint for reasonable and
so gut.
collected discourse.
Leute, es ist
They're the ones who are mad.
Ja,
They're the ones who
hat so
couldn't stand the
recht.
idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me.
Ja, ja, ja.
Yes, of course.
Genau, das ist es nämlich.
They've been jealous of me this whole time.
Ja.
They are mired in fear and insecurity.
Oh ja, ganz
and cannot
genau.
help but attempt to tear me down. What
Ja.
a sad state of
Jahrelange
affairs.
Arbeit.
When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think, to feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison, perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world.
Oh Gott, ey, ich glaube, er fängt wieder von vorne an. Entschuldigung. Alter. Es gibt einen negativen Review, sag ich dir. Ey, ein Raum, das ist der DLC oder was?
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Okay, hier kommt.
Is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Es macht mich wahnsinnig. Wie lange halten wir es durch, Leute? Wie lange halten wir es durch?
Is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Okay, ich halte es nicht mehr aus. Da kommt Wasser durch die Decke langsam, aber sicher gehen hier die Rohre kaputt. Wie lange kann ich denn hier leben ohne Essen? Ich meine, trinken habe ich jetzt. Offensichtlich. Ich meine, was ist aus der Welt da draußen geworden mittlerweile? Wie lange sind wir jetzt hier? Ich habe keine Ahnung. Alleine das macht einen schon, das ist auf so einer, auf irgendeiner gewissen Ebene, die ich überhaupt nicht verarbeiten kann. Oh. Endzeit. Es ist alles eingestürzt. Sprecher, bist du noch da? Hier ist Stanley. Ich bin doch bei dir. Ich bin noch bei dir. Komm wieder zurück. Ich weiß, du willst mir dieses Gefühl der merkwürdigen, der Einsamkeit und des Nichtswissens. Aber warum strafst du mich so? Gott, ich will das nicht. Bitte weiter. Es kommt Licht. Sonne. Tageslicht. Hallo, bitte. Ja, ich bin hier, ich lebe. Ich bin hier. Wo bist du nur? Alter, okay, das muss schon... Also jetzt lebt definitiv keiner mehr aus unserem Büro. Hä? Da sind sie schon wieder weg. Was ist aus der Welt da draußen geworden? Bitte. Bitte. Hallo? Leute, was ist da draußen los? Hallo? Oh nein! Der überspringt... Oh, Moment! Hallo? Vielleicht will ich doch einfach hier drinnen bleiben. Was zur Hölle ist hier los? Was ist denn hier bitte los? Nee. No. No. Und es sieht wieder anders aus. Es sieht wieder aus wie ohne.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Einfach so.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Einfach
No matter how hard
so.
Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ernsthaft? Keine weiteren Erklärungen? Es gibt New Content. Gucken wir uns New Content an?
Oh, good. You noticed my sign.
Yes.
I have something very exciting to show you.
Das macht mich wahnsinnig. Ist das der New? Oder...
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Ich will mich nicht umdrehen. Will ich mich umdrehen? Was? Moment. Ist Stanley Parable 2 Game in Game? Okay, Leute, jetzt bin ich doch ein bisschen aufgeregt.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Danach haben
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think?
Ja, finde ich auch.
Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Oh, Augenblick. Ich glaube, die Kurze ist aufgewacht. So, weiter geht's. Sorry. Ich musste erst wieder einen Berg aus Kuscheltieren machen. Okay, Leute. Stanley Parable 2 klingt doch einfach auch schon viel geiler. Also, dann hätte ich es auf jeden Fall... Dann hätten es noch mehr Leute gekauft. Wobei, dann wollen sie auch natürlich neuen Content. Die 2 Türen, sie sind zurück. Ich finde sowas immer gut. Sowas entsteht halt aus so kleinen Dingern meistens, ne? So... Wo dann irgendwer sagt, hey, das ist ein Deal, da machen wir was Dickes raus. Aber irgendwie ist hier keiner. Wo sind denn die ganzen Investoren? Bin ich Investor? Ich bin jetzt ungefähr 1000 Jahre alt.
What exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Eigentlich bin ich ja der Star, oder nicht? 1000 Jahre später. Der New Content Bus fährt die Leute direkt hier rein. Warum ist hier ein Bus mitten im... Naja, okay, muss ich nicht verstehen. Hallo?
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Merchandise! I saw the new content! Das will ich haben! Das will ich haben! Moment, funktioniert das? Ich will das. Wo ist der QR-Code-Reader? Habe ich den hier drauf? Wo führt er mich hin? Welcome to the official website of the Stanley Parable 2. A sequel, huh? Okay, das ist okay. Danke fürs Vorbeischauen. Genießen Sie den Rest des Spiels. Okay, cool. Das muss ich jetzt mal kurz gucken. Mega. The end is never the end again. Hallo? Oh, guck mal, da bin ich. Oder? Ist das Stanley? Bürodekoration. Beruhigungseimer. Oh, ein Beruhigungseimer? Wo geht's zum Beruhigungseimer? Please no screenshots. Moment, ich will zum Beruhigungseimer.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket.
Oh,
You
der
see,
Bucket.
Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's
Oh ja,
true.
bitte.
As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be?
Ja.
The bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Oh ja, bitte.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body.
Ein bisschen.
And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well?
Na toll.
I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person.
Danke.
The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Geil. Ich hab den Eimer, Leute. Cool. Er fühlt sich echt gut an.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Hear your name in the game. Exclusives. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Das kann ja gar nicht sein.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Das würde ich aber jetzt gerne mal nehmen.
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now,
Ah,
the
toll.
button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature.
Okay.
Play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay,
Ich
here
bin
we go.
Jim.
Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and
Okay.
simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim.
Okay,
Sleeping
Jim.
and
Was macht
waking
Jim?
as Jim.
Trinkt Jim gerne
Falling in
Kaffee?
love and being heartbroken as Jim. Seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim. And as Jim,
Jim.
watching your
Ich bin
dreams
Jim.
crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply?
Ja.
Are you really, truly Jim right
Okay,
now?
ich bin Jim.
If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Ich bin Jim. Okay, ich bin Jim. Ich bin Jim.
Jim.
Boah, er hat meinen Knopf, er hat meinen Namen
You
gesagt.
see? What a thrill. What a rush. That was you.
Ha, ey, damit hätte ich nicht gerechnet.
Do it again. Do it again.
Ey, das ist ja cool. Das ist ein richtig gutes Feature.
Jim.
Wow.
It hits even harder the second
Wirklich?
time.
Woher
If
weiß
this
das
were
Spiel,
the
wie ich
only
heiße? Das
feature
ist
in
ja
the
voll
Stanley
Meta.
Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Ich bin Jim. Leute.
Whoa
Oh.
there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim.
Nein, ich
I'm
bin
putting the Jim
Jim.
button away.
Jim.
Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose
Jim.
all sense
Jim.
of who you actually
Jim.
are.
Jim. Jim. Jim.
Ich bin Jim. Ich bin Jim. Oh Gott, ich bin Jim, Leute. Wir sind Jim. Bist du auch Jim? Bitte, wer Jim ist, schreibt bitte in die Kommentare, ich bin Jim, okay? Ich frage nicht oft nach sowas, aber ich will wissen, ob ihr auch Jim seid oder ob es nur mir so geht. Boah, cool. Okay, Leute, Stanley Parable 2 mit den neuen Features. Wir gucken uns das natürlich noch weiter an, aber das machen wir in der nächsten Episode. Ich bedanke mich an dieser Stelle wie immer recht herzlich fürs Zusehen und wünsche euch allen da draußen einen wunderschönen und erfolgreichen Tag. Denn denkt immer daran, du bist Jim. Bis zum nächsten Mal reingehauen und ciao, Jim.